Good evening. Today is Monday, November 17th, 2025. It's 7 p.m. Before we begin, I'd like to observe a moment of silence for three people who have played a part in the town of Winchester over the last several years. First, passing away on November 4th, former police officer, or retired police officer, Sal Curcio, passed away. Former Board of Selectmen member James DeVita passed away on November 12th. And World War II veteran and former commander of the VFW Post 296, Ed Sweeney, passed away on November 13th. With that, I'd like to call the meeting to order. Say your name.
Kevin Bishop.
Troy Lemire. Paul Harrington.
Todd Archelachi.
Glenn Albanesius.
William Hester.
Please join me for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Item number 3, agenda review. Does anyone have anything for the agenda? Seeing nothing, moving on to item number 4, the approval of the minutes of our regular meeting on November 3rd.
So moved.
Thank you, Troy. Is there a second? Any discussion? Seeing no discussion, all in favor? Opposed, abstaining? 601. Moving on to item number 5, citizens' comments. The Board of Selectmen welcomes public comments. Speakers will be limited to 3 minutes. Please give your name, and this is an opportunity for you to address concerns that you have to the board, not a discussion with the board. If a
Right, turn the
response
mic
is
on.
required, it'll be from the town manager's office prior to the next meeting.
Frank Oliveri, 108 Shore Drive. I just want to congratulate all the members of the new selectmen. I hope you do a great job for the town this year. That's all I can say. Things can get better, and I hope they will be better. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Next. Anyone? Just hit that red button. Thank you, Mr. Cole.
Mike Canal, 2 Moorland Road, Winchester. Congratulations on your win. And better not mess it up, or you'll blame it on Trump. I've only got one thing. Seeing it's getting cold outside, maybe the town could ask Ralph Nader if he could open up the old Dana Electric building for a few people that are homeless. And seeing that he got a tax break, gets a tax break on his buildings, and will not fly the flag in front of his shrine in the West End of town. Maybe he'll let you people open it. I'm sure someone will donate some money. I'm sure I will. If he needs the money for the heat. Good luck in trying, though. My finger will grow back before he does it.
Thank you, Mr.
Thank you.
Cole. Anyone else wish to speak?
Lane O'Mara of 1187 Sawmill Hill Road, Windsor, Connecticut. I would like to congratulate our Board of Selectmen. I pray with all my heart that they may come together and make a better town, a lot more safer town, not just physically, but for its inhabitants. My concerns of the students' mental health and the staff members. More and more we are facing many crucial fears of assault, harassment, which may lead to many parents wanting their kids to stay and be homeschooled. Many of these students have gone through so much of their time as it is trying to go from period A to B without dealing with bullying, discrimination, let alone assault and harassment. So I pray that we and all of you Board of Selectmen members can work together and have a way to make our schools safe, not just physically, but mentally for our students, because they are our future, and they will be the future leaders that will make our town even better. Thank you.
Thank you, Blaine. Anyone else wish to speak? Seeing no one else wishing to speak, moving on to item 6, the town manager's report.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and good evening, Board of Selectmen and new members. Great to have 2 new members with us. To begin, the economic tours continue. Since our last meeting, I had the opportunity to tour DRT Aerospace here in Winsted. I was generally impressed by their work with their current operations focusing on manufacturing parts for aerospace industry. DIRT's impact goes well beyond that. Notably, they are credited with inventing the pop-top can. You were with me that day, right? No, you weren't, no. The pop-top can, design that everybody knows. So when you're enjoying that cup of soup, a refreshing beverage, we owe this local company in town for actually coming up with the pop-top can. So I was thoroughly impressed with, their whole operations. I, again, thank EDC for setting up these tours, and we're gonna get out to as many businesses as we can, but it's just been absolutely a great time meeting these business managers or the owners. They are definitely invested in the community, and it just pays dividends in the long run. So thanks to EDC, you can spread the message. I think you guys are meeting tomorrow. Moving on, School Safety Committee, our monthly School Safety Committee took place recently with a continued focus of enhancing communication between schools, the town, emergency services. The group's recommending that we use Everbridge as a communication platform. Participation in these meetings continues to grow. With all stakeholders now regularly attending the meeting, I can say with confidence that everyone around these tables is committed to the safety and well-being of our students, from pre-K all the way through graduate school. And this is all of the schools that are here in Winchester. It's the college, it's Gilbert, it's Pearson, it's Hinsdale. You name the school, they're in the meeting. The state police are in the meeting, our local police are in the meeting, EMS is in the meeting, fire's in the meeting, fire marshal's in the meeting, and together we are working on plans. So communication is constant between the group. But the big thing that we were stressing in the beginning is when schools run drills and people drive by these schools and they see a bunch of kids out, their immediate response is to either call the town, call the police department, and if the college was doing a drill and we were unaware of it, we kind of look like we've dropped the ball. Well, I don't know what's going on. And as a parent, me being one myself, that's fearful, to not even know if it was a drill or not a drill. But I can tell you in a very short period of time, all of us are going to be in this Everbridge way of chatting, and we're going to know what each one of us is doing. So when the phone does ring in my office or downstairs in the police department or any of these other schools, and a parent or a grandparent or simply a resident is wondering what's going on, we're going to be able to tell. We'll know that the drills are happening. We're not going to advertise it. Obviously, we want to run drills as they normally should. But kudos to this group getting together, talking things out, throwing all the ideas on the line. I thoroughly enjoy those meetings every month. It's a 2-hour meeting, and we crank for 2 hours. And I have some real dedicated individuals that are in there. And the biggest concern is the safety of these kids, pre-K all the way through college. So school safety committees met. Northwest Community Bank Foundation grant. The town is grateful to announce we received a $3,000 grant from Northwest Community Bank Foundation. This gift, directed to the Resident Assistance Fund, will support families and individuals who are struggling with hardships not met by traditional federal or state programs. With costs rising and holiday season approaching, these donations is especially timely. Our sincere thanks goes to the Northwest Community Bank Foundation for their ongoing generosity and support. They've continued to give us money into the Resident Assist Fund every year, and this is yet another year where they contributed $3,000. The 27 budget development is well underway, as I've been reporting, and this week alone, All of the big milestone we're hitting is that all of the capital requests are due in. We did give the Board of Education a little bit more time, just because they do have a new board, but we are expecting their capital requests a little bit delayed. And then from there, we're gonna do exactly what we did last year, zero-based budgeting. We're gonna send out blank forms to all of our department heads. We're gonna show them the typical history of where their accounts were coming in. They will plug in numbers, and then each one of them will come up to meet in the town manager's office, and we're gonna run line by line item, justifying what each line item is made up of. And then obviously the budget's all due to you guys on or before March 15th. I think March 15th may fall on a Sunday. We'll do what we did last year. We'll give it to you guys on that Friday. I'm not gonna come in on a Sunday just to I'll turn it in early. But we'll do the typical what we did last year. I don't know if I'm gonna go with a 14-page recap, but it'll probably be at least 12. Just cluing you in on, the budget drivers, where some successes were, where non-successes were. I will tell you that early projections right now, and I've always looked at budgets after doing them for almost 2 decades, it is a marathon, it is not a sprint. Numbers come in every single day, and some numbers look very fearful when they first come in. I don't want anyone to panic when they may hear a number, or it all comes together. And the biggest picture, and what I've really firmly believed after many years of doing budget, is expense side is an important factor, but the revenue side is just as important. Because when you're at home and you're managing your budget, if you have the revenue coming in, it's very easy to pay those household expenses. So I try and really drill down on the revenue to ensure that we're getting every dollar of revenue accounted for when we're putting this budget together. Our finance office, between Anne Marie and Tom, they do a heck of a job every year supplying numbers, supplying information, so kudos to them. Not only are they starting to work through the budget process, but we're in process of getting our audit done. Please don't try and talk to Anne Marie, because she's pulling her hair out. She's laughing at me right now, but she's doing Herculean effort. She plans on coming in possibly the day after Thanksgiving, because that's how much we want to get this audit done on or before December 31st. She's committed to it, and we're going to get it done. So that's the budget process. SS4, Safe Streets for All, we did go to RFP or RFQ. We did receive 6 proposals back. We're in the process of weeding through those 6 proposals and then selecting the actual company that is then going to take over the Safe Streets for All in the meetings with our residents, and then come up with a plan for Safe Streets for All. For our newer board members, I'll point out that this is fully funded by the federal government for $250,000, so that we can then get a plan that we can then potentially go out and unlock some federal and state dollars. That this is what the state and feds are looking for. Where's your plan? This is a professionally developed plan, and this is the funding that we need in order to execute this plan. So that's off and running. Deep Trails grant application. If you remember, on October 20th, this Board of Selectmen did authorize us to do the matching funds. We are looking to submit the grant on or before December 18th. Currently, you can apply up for $1 million. We are going to get as close to $1 million for the Sue Grossman Trail that we could potentially get from the Deep Trail grant. And we went back, we did what I call value engineering. Bill was in that meeting because he's on the Sue Grossman Trail. Original number came in at almost $5.5 million.
That's correct.
It was basically, I saw the room get deflated in Sue Grossman Trail that we weren't gonna be able to pull this off. We may only be able to do phase 3 or phase 4. The board group tasked me with doing a value engineering. I brought in the engineers. We were able to bring in the project completion, both stage 3 and stage 4, for just over $3 million. This Sue Grossman Trail, we're gonna get it done. We're gonna get more updates, and then unfortunately, once we get everything, we ship it off to the DOT, and they basically look through it for a year, and then you'll get shovels in the ground in 2027. I know a lot of people, you hear things, well, where's the shovels, where's the shovels? This project tentatively does not have a start date until September of 2027, which checks all the boxes for both the federal and the state money, but long story short, Sue Grossman Trail won't begin until the September of 2027. Roads update. We expect to have our DPW director provide a more detailed road update in upcoming meetings, but for now I wanted to update not only the board, but obviously our community. with either roads that have been completed or very soon will be completed. And I'm gonna list them off in no particular order. Dayton, Chapel, Old Colebrook Road, Holmes, Holland, Price, Morningside/Brookside, Wani, obviously right now we're digging up and putting the infrastructure in, Spring, Rockwell, Ridge, Superior, and Orchard. The DPW did a tremendous job. Towards the end of the season, I put a huge rush on them to get as much stuff done as they possibly can. Those are the roads that either have been completed or will be completed in a very short period of time. I also wanted to point out that the DOT is still planning to install the new catch basin on Boyd Street this year, finally resolving the issue that has persisted for many, many years. They still aren't planning on putting that catch basin in to prevent all of that icing over there. And last but not least, a heartfelt thank you to the Northwest Hill Exchange Club for installing the Field of Flags to honor Veterans Day. Their contribution brings real meaning to the observation of the important holiday in our community. I drafted a thank you letter. I noticed tonight that I did make an error. If you care to sign it, putting your thank you to them for putting those flags up in the green, it'll be in my office starting tomorrow. Hope to get it out by Friday if you wish to sign it. It'll be up there. With that, I'll turn it back to the mayor or to the board if anyone has questions.
Do we have any questions for the town manager?
Just one question, Paul, on Sue Grossman.
Yes.
You did the value engineering, you said come in right around 3 million. Do you guys add a 15-20% contingency in that?
Yes, we do.
You do?
Yes,
Okay.
right now it's sitting at a 20% contingency
All right, perfect.
because it's still early on in the phase. Once it's been designed and we get shovels in the ground, you start to see that contingency come down. But we are planning with that $3.2 million budget, a 20% contingency. And we have an incidental line item that's set at 15% right now. So we are overly projecting the number because we don't want to start the project and not have enough money. So currently we probably are a little bit even more on the high, 5 point some odd, way too high. But we are shooting high to make sure we have all the money we need to finally get this 3 and 4 section done. Important meeting on Thursday with the DOT for rights of way. Obviously, you know, some of the trail, we're gonna be going down Raleigh Street. We're meeting with them on Thursday. We also have to use the Department of Motor Vehicles driveway. So we're meeting with them and they called the meeting, so that's exciting. So it's becoming realer and realer every single day. And I wanna thank that Sue Grossman Trail group. I've never seen more harder working individuals, volunteers that have so much passion to get this done. And they've been a tremendous help, helping me. It's simply, sometimes I just don't have the time and they do a lot of legwork, a lot, so.
Correct.
Update on 44 paving now that the contractor's gone off of Main Street.
I'm glad you asked me that. So, Eversource has not confirmed if they were gonna pave it this year or not, but you did ask a question on the 10/20 meeting about other utility companies. No other utility companies claim that they're going to be doing any type of work in the next 10 years on our Main Street. That's anywhere from Frontier to anybody else. We even called Castle, which is a fiber optic line. So once Eversource, and for the newer board and for maybe people tuning in for the first time, typically Eversource only does a repair of where they actually broke the road. Working with the DOT, we have made Eversource go gutter to gutter. So we're gonna get all new road, wherever they ripped it up, they have to go gutter to gutter. Our Main Street's gonna come back to where it was. There was talk that they were gonna try and mill it and pave it this year. The temperature dropped recently and mills are starting to close. I'm unsure and I haven't got confirmation that they were gonna be able to get it done this year. We may be looking at springtime before we mill and pave it, so, but the good news is we're going gutter to gutter.
I would push for it for this year
Trying.
since they're finished.
Yep.
And I have a contact with the state if you'd like. I'll give you the number for the person that's in charge of that.
So just so you're aware, they're not 100% complete yet. If you saw
Oh, they still got more
today,
digging to do?
they were on Case right over by Town Hall. If
Yeah,
you look,
Main Street.
they want to complete it all because if they break the road over between, you know, the bodega and the other building, they're replacing all that. Like, I'm not gonna have patch pave jobs. I want them to come in one time and pave it. So any side street that they broke, they're going gutter to gutter with that as well. We're just simply not just gonna allow them to just pave Main Street and let our side streets deteriorate. No, whatever they broke, gutter to gutter.
You're gonna get some complaints on that Main Street if we have to drive through that all winter.
I know.
Just saying.
As soon as the plows hit it, I fully aware. I'm hoping, because I look out my window every single day and I already see a pothole starting to form.
Oh,
I've already pointed it out.
Not a good
It's
job.
right out my window and I stare at it. If you know me, I walk around my office when I'm on the phone and I stare at it every day, and I've already put it on our liaison's radar where if minimally you're not paving, you're going in and you're at least fixing what's already been ripped up.
Other questions?
You mentioned for the school safety committee that they're moving to Everbridge. And
Yes.
I know that that's a system that, a newer system that's being used. I was wondering if there's an update on like how many people in town have actually signed up and how that's going.
I'll get you the exact number and I can email it. I can tell you that we have roughly 8,600 people signed up for it now. But let me put a big asterisk on that. One of the things that I wanted to do is I lobbied the state of Connecticut, and if you all remember, way back when, you could sign up for 211. And a whole bunch of residents did sign up for 211 when that became a popular item. We were able to take that database of 211 and we were able to upload it into our Everbridge account. There was one small error, and we're not the only town that has done that and lobbied the state, and they were more than willing to partner with us. Every once in a while, when we do send out an Everbridge, I get an email from somebody that now lives in New Hampshire. Hey, why am I getting Winchester updates? And I have to tell them, way back when you signed up for 211, we were able to grab your phone number. When that happens, I can go into our database and I can actually delete that number. But to have 8,600 phone numbers at our ready is such a valuable access, because when seconds matter, if there's something critical going on, it's a great way to communicate with people. So about 8,600 people right now. I'll get you the exact number. It might be 82, it might be 83. It's over 8,000, I can tell you that.
Thank you.
Anything else? Moving on to item number 7, Finance Director's Report.
So before we begin with that, Anne Marie's here today. We're gonna do we're gonna do the same finance report that you're used to, that you see in your packet, but Anne Marie, again, doing Herculean effort. She wanted to run you all through the capital projects. This is something that former Selectwoman Perez had requested. We couldn't get it done with the audit, but I thought the board, it's still great information to see capital items throughout all the years, as far as we could go back, where they stand, what's left in the account. So I'm gonna pass this out as well. Anne, your choice on what you want to go through first.
Do my normal.
You do your normal and then go through the
summary
capitals?
first, and then I can walk through the capitals. Everybody.
We even got one for you, John.
Sure. Thank you, sir.
And these are hot off the press, that's why they weren't electronic. She literally walked into my office, I think at 5:30 to review it with me, so it went right to the last minute to get this done.
So I'm just gonna go through my normal, just a quick overview, highlights of where we're at as of October 31st. So we are 33% into the fiscal year. So current year-to-date property tax revenue is $16,354,585, which is 56.03% of what's budgeted. That's in comparison to $14,857,483 for the same period last year, which was 54.33%. Past due tax revenue, $203,139, 58% of the budget, compared to $147,219, which was 24.54% of last year's. Total revenue year to date, $19,815,812, 48.31% of the budget, and that's compared to $17,993,518 for the same period last year, which was 44.09%. Total expenditures, $12,581,184, which is 36.30% of the budget. That's compared to $14,391,957, which is 35.27%. I'm realizing that I completely left off the whole section on municipal aid received in the month of October, but I do know off the top of my head that we did receive our next installment of our ECS, and off the top of my head, don't know. Additionally, I think we received a little more grant money from the state that we get on an annual basis. Cash flow at October 31st, approximately $25,251,000. Of that, $20,867,000 is invested, $457,000 in the Northwest Community Sweep account, $2,596,911 in STIF, which for the new selectmen, that's the state investment fund. And then our Northwest Community Bank money market account holds $17,813,363. October capital expenditures, there's a pretty long list of them, so I'll go through them pretty quickly. $7,989 for town hall repairs and upgrades, $38.85 for police station repairs and upgrades, $72,210 for the SCBA replacement project, $64,537 on annual road maintenance, $41,118 towards the digital radio upgrade project, $250,899 for the purchase of plow truck number 9. That is one of the capital expenditures that's being funded over a 5-year period. $97.50 for Rockwell Street drainage, $75,000 for our guide rail replacement program, $5,750 for Price Road mill and paving, $93.50 for Walker Field backstop replacement, $7,836 for senior center repairs and upgrades, an additional $69,900 for senior center mechanical repairs and upgrades. That I believe is for the heating, air conditioning, some system over at the senior center.
It's both, heating and air,
both,
it's
right?
all HVAC.
Okay, and then bond expenditures, $74,246. The majority of that was a release of retainage to the contractor, $11,290 on Wani Road, $750 on Spring Street, and $42,826 on various drainage projects. That's just a quick overview, and then let's go over to the big Fund 179 summary that you all just received. So I know that the selectmen that have been here previously have seen this schedule. This is all of our ongoing capital expenditure accounts. And what I've tried to do is really go through this, and with the help of our Public Works Director, we have been meeting several times to go through each of these line by line item, particularly the ones that relate to Public Works, and put notes in here on where we are in terms of these projects. So off to the side, what you see on the schedule that you've received is a fraction of what is in my worksheet. So in my worksheet, there are columns going back to 2018, for each year of the budget and each year of the expenditures. So I had to kind of try to condense it so that you could get something that was not the size of a poster board. So what you have there is the budget for all of the years for each project. And then, did I give you did I give you 26 expenditures? Is that a column?
You did 26
Okay.
expend.
And
Yep.
then the open encumbrances, which is just our open purchase orders, and the total expenditures for all years. And then what the remaining budget is when you look at what we've spent, plus any open purchase orders. So I won't go through all of them. You can go through these kind of at your leisure, read through the notes. All of the ones that are ongoing, I made notes off to the side. Some of these notes are more for me to some extent, but some of them are for you to review. Things that I want to highlight, these are done at a department level. So each of these departments, the first 4 digits there, it's really 3 digits for the most of them, are the department numbers. And so you'll see section 210, that's our police department. You'll kind of get an idea as you read through the account descriptions. 211 is the fire department, 215 is for ambulance. 311 then begins public works, and that is the bulk of our capital expenditures. So you'll see 311 annual road repairs and our LOSIP funded road repairs, which is the grant that comes from the state of Connecticut. And then individual project line items for all of the projects. And you're gonna notice that I use a lot of different colors. The first set of colors that you see, three line items, particularly Highland Lake storm drains, Halliburtt Ave, and the Upland Road. Those are line items that we need to look at in conjunction with the bond money that we have out there, because we had some money allocated from our general fund that has not been spent, but we also have money being allocated in the bond projects. So that's kind of a highlight for myself, so that when we move forward with the town manager, with the director of public works, discussing the bond projects, we know to kind of look at these as a whole, and when we do our planning for next year's capital budget. So you have a variety of line items in 311. You will have road projects, facilities, cemeteries, trucks, you name it, that's all that's in all of those 311 accounts. We have the next highlighted section all says Communities Challenge. That is all state of Connecticut grant projects that we've been granted money from the state of Connecticut under the Communities Challenge. So you'll see those kind of segregated out into that little blue color there. And then I want to really focus just on the bond projects, because I know that is what Selectman Perez had asked for, and I know that the selectmen always want, where are we with the bond projects? And Jim Rollins could not be here tonight, but we did go through, again, we spent a couple hours last week with Tom and Jim and myself going through every single line item, and then Jim and I went through again today and went through all the bond projects and all of the general funded capitals that you'll see that are not highlighted. So the ones in kind of the orange color, those are the ongoing projects. Or the ones that have a little bit of money left over, and you can see from my notes where they are in the process, whether they say they are ongoing, if they are in progress. We tried to give you an expected completion date if they are in progress, or what the open items are for each of them. Next section, the bright green, those are the projects that are in the planning phase or have some sort of, you may see a little bit of spending. Most of that little bit of spending on those is typically engineering costs. And then on that particularly, you'll see target dates for those projects. Some of those, I will just highlight the Halliburtt Avenue. There's two pieces to that. One is LOTSIP, one is non-LOTSIP. So the LOTSIP is funding from the state of Connecticut, local transportation and capital improvement program. So that is the state has committed right now $1.2 million for that. We are waiting on confirmation from the COG to determine the status of that funding, whether that is unlocked for us currently, what the targeted project date, and if there is additional lots of funding that we can unlock for this project, for Halliburtt Ave. We will have this discussion at a later date of potentially pulling those grant-funded projects out of the bond, so that we don't expend money that is grant-funded, that we can only spend $23,300,000 in total. It does not matter whether we're getting reimbursed from the state of Connecticut or not. That goes towards the ceiling of the whole bond project. If we kind of parse those out and pull those out of the bond project, that would free up additional funds that we can use for other road projects. But that will be a discussion with the town manager for the next year's capital budget, depending on the timing of this project. There is another one in the same situation, which I'll talk about in a little bit. So you can see here, most of these that are in the green, there are targeted start dates of spring of 2026. And then in the yellow, the few projects in the yellow, the three of them there, those are 2027 and beyond. And particularly Newfield Road, that one is 2027 and beyond. That's why you don't see a budget for most of those. And then Lake Street is another one where the Public Works Department was going to try to get lots of funding for that. So that may be another one that gets pulled out of the bond project, or potentially into another bond project if we run out of, if we expend all of our funds before that one. The other project that is grant funded that we're probably going to pull out of this bond project is the Grantville Road project, because that, we just got reconfirmation that is a federal local bridge program. That is 100% reimbursed grant program. That is on a reimbursement basis, not upfront money that comes from us. The state of Connecticut just confirmed the start date now on that will be fiscal year 2028. So, but that is 100% grant funded, but it's on a reimbursement basis, but we typically have enough cash flow to front the cash and get the reimbursements on those. So that'll be a discussion again, pulling it out of the bond project, because that is going to, that would eat up a significant amount of the remaining bond, available bond money. Then all the ones in the kind of muted purple color, those are all of the projects that have been completed or are essentially complete with a couple of little follow-ups afterwards. So I think the town manager mentioned some of these: Marshall Street, Case Avenue, Whiting Street Phase 2, Case Avenue Bridge, Elm Street, West Wakefield, Taylor Brook Bridge, Hannafin Road, Indian Meadow Drive. Those are all part of the, some or of those projects, or all of the project was part of the bond package, and those are all essentially completed projects. And then as you go down to the rest of the schedule, you'll see a couple more. Recreation, Senior Center, our annual computer replacement program. So there are a whole bunch of other completed projects that are normal annual capital improvements that I have pulled out of this schedule, because as most of you know, it's a pretty comprehensive list, and I wanted to try to pull out the things that we no longer need to see because those projects are complete. As we go into the budget season, we will be looking at if there is funds available from any of those projects, any under over budgets that we have to kind of clean up this capital fund and potentially unlock any money that is available to fund future capital projects that has to be approved with the annual budget process to reallocate.
Before we open it up for questions, an item that tends to sometimes get debated a lot is, you know, roads getting paved. If you look, first page, 3/4 of the way down, annual roadway maintenance. You know, there was over the years $1.1 million. You can see it has an account balance of $189,322 left to it. And the annual road maintenance isn't just for paving and fixing roads, but it also is removal of trees, tree trimming, and all of that. So, you know, this becomes a point, and I know a few members of the board have said to me, well, next year's budget, we're gonna put money in to pave. We're not afraid to pave anything, you know, the town is not. We simply need the funds in order to pave. But you can see that over the last few years, we've been given well over $1 million. We only have $189,000 left, and as Troy would tell you, it's what, $1 million a mile? So $200,000 doesn't get you much paving. So there's the breakdown of what's been funded over the years in terms of paving. I think a lot of the times, you know, the bond projects come into play. Well, we authorized $23.3 million. A lot of that had to do with infrastructure, and it's fixing this stuff underneath the road, and you'll see that listed all on page 2 and a little bit on page 3, that we're not holding back any type of paving. We would pave it all, but we need the money in order to do it. So you can see that in that account, we just did a bunch of paving. There's only about $189,000 left to pave, and that's not gonna get you more than a 1/4 of a mile when you're talking $1 million a mile. So, problem we're gonna deal with in the budget, but I wanted to put it publicly, because there are times I do go on social media and I hear why isn't this, why isn't that. It's simply a funding source that if it's funded, we'll pave it. But right now, we only got $189,000 left for paving, and that doesn't get you much paving.
So I would say, if you go through the schedule, if you have any questions, if you have anything that you want answered, followed up, I would probably at this point, just because we're coming towards the end of the year and we're kind of swamped with the audit, I'd say run those through Paul's office if there's line items, because either myself or Jim Rollins can kind of give some follow-up on if there's any questions on those, what you're seeing in here. I know it's a big schedule to kind of take in all at once, but if you walk through it. If there's something you don't understand, you wanna see more, there is a whole lot more columns that I'm not sharing with everybody because you've gotten some of them previously, but I don't think you want to see them all, so kinda tried to narrow it down so that you just sort of see the overall picture of where all of the capital projects are at.
Questions?
Go ahead, Jerry.
I have a question really for you about how do you choose which roads you're going to pave? Because that does come up a lot in the discussions.
So, interesting topic that we did a road study many years ago. In fact, we just did another road study with AI technology, and it just drove all over the roads. And right now, what our intern is doing is compiling that information. And somewhere in the budget process, I'm gonna come and I'm gonna show you, the F roads. And I'm gonna assign a dollar amount to each one of those roads. And then it's really gonna be up for conversation of which roads do we wanna take on. I'm not gonna, keep the report secretive. I'm gonna let everybody know the condition of our roads. I'm gonna assign a dollar amount, but the other thing that needs to, be spoken is that when a dollar amount is given to a particular project, we're assigning that dollar amount at today's value. If we wait 3, 4, 5 years to take on that road, put the inflator in of 15, 20%, because what the cost is now, and if we wait 5 years, that $1 million road could be $1.5 million if we wait that long. So I want to give you all of the roads. Obviously the ones that, they're going to be on the report, but the A roads, we're not even going to really talk about. They just got done. But I'm going to give you guys every single road that we have, the grading of it, and then the price in order to redo that road. And I'm going to give you two prices. I'm going to give you a price to pave it, and I'm going to give you a price for the infrastructure and the pavement of it. And, I caution the board that if you're going to just pave a road and not address the infrastructure, if the infrastructure breaks underneath that road, we just are ripping up $1 million a mile to then fix the infrastructure, to then pay $1 million a mile to repave because we just tore up our brand new pavement. So I'm gonna give you all of that information. We're well along the way of it. The hard part now is signing the dollar amounts, and getting good numbers so we don't underproject, what it's gonna cost to pave a road.
So just to clarify what Paul's saying, it's $1 million a mile with infrastructure and base. So it doesn't mean that the mile of road's gonna have to cost $1 million unless you're doing the whole road totally brand new. So you could pave a mile of road, 2-inch mill, 2-inch pave for a couple $100,000, maybe $300,000. But that's not touching any infrastructure or the base of the road. So if the base of the road is bad, eventually the road's gonna fail quicker than, but it's a Band-Aid, but it's not always like, it's gonna be a worst case scenario. It's a way of getting roads that are, close to failing paved again, to keep them going, as long as the infrastructure's good, all the drains are working correctly. That's the problem with Winston, most of the drainage is the problem. So that's why we're not getting anything done, because the drainage costs way more than the road cost, so.
I concur, the drainage, I've listened to stories through the water and sewer for the last 5 years, and the drainage is horrendous in town, and even our infrastructure, water and sewer, is pretty old on top of it. So, and they don't have all the funds to cover some of this stuff to take care of it. And that's an issue for them, but.
What I found
it just
out,
gets to be a bigger
as in
can
the
of
last 2
worms.
years, because it took me 2 years to figure it out, that the way Winston works is we have a combined line item that we take everything from. So nothing is specific, other than the bond, nothing is specific to paving. So what I want to change on this board this year is I would like to put a paving line. So our, residents can get some roads paved and know that they're gonna get paved instead of putting it into tree work or potholes or infrastructure. But there's a lot of work to do. You're gonna have to make a couple of line items to separate it out. So, and then it's gonna cost some money. So we're gonna have to figure out where that money comes from.
But is that where the bonding is specific to the roads, so that helps with that? But if you take a line item out of like Public Works and you make specific towards, you're tying your hands on how to use funds. and
No,
that's not
how-
always advisable.
That's how I do it.
I understand.
I'm the superintendent of
I know,
Norfolk.
Norfolk, yeah.
I have a line item for paving. I pick 3 roads, usually, because that's what I can handle for the year. And I do all the infrastructure myself, replace that, but I have a line item for that too, okay? And the money that I have for paving is what I bring to my, for selectmen, and that goes to the taxpayers for the budget. So then I have that money to pave those 3 roads. That's how you gotta do it. If you try to pick it out, you'll never get anything done. And that's why we're doing piecemeal work. We pave a little piece. You don't wanna do that. I pave a whole road from start to finish. You don't wanna do pieces, because that's where failure creates, when the salt gets in the joints and it ruins the road. So you're just throwing good money to bad, so we're gonna try to work on that this year.
Well, let's get back to the,
And then I had another question for Emery.
Yeah.
Under the Elm Street, bond line item, there's a $10,000,
That's retainage.
yeah, retainage.
Yeah.
That project's been gone for
It's not.
quite some time.
It's not.
What's holding up the
You'd have
10,000?
to ask Jim Rollins that question, but we did just make a payment to Richards recently to release most of the retainage, but there was, I don't know what the open item is, but they withheld $10,000 off the retainage.
Right, well, so that means that they have to fix something, but it's been almost 2 years since that's been finished, right?
No.
No.
It was finished last summer.
Yeah, I was here, and I saw him completing
So
that.
it's over
That
a
was
year.
done last summer.
I would say, yeah, over a year, but.
I don't know the specifics of what the
Right,
retainage is.
well,
but I
that's
knew
one of my
it was-
questions you need, I wanna have answered by that.
I-
Retainage is still in there.
Yeah, I can tell you that our public works crew hold our contractors accountable, and they're not going to release, money until
Oh.
they feel
Yeah, I
that the
don't know what,
project
there's
is
a punch list.
100%
of
done.
any, like, small
and all-
items, I don't know what that is.
Well, again, it's been a year, so it needs to be done
Well,
in a
we
timely
just paid,
manner.
we just paid the remainder of the retainage we just released, so.
And it's not
you know,
shown in the
there's- so
1031 report.
I'm
so.
not sure, what. We
Yeah,
just
I didn't think
released-
you'd know that
We
answer,
just
but
released this, $70,000, so there is obviously some ongoing stuff. Bart and Jim are probably the best people to talk to on that.
Which like I said earlier in my town manager report, either the first meeting in December or the second meeting in December, I do want to have Jim come in, do a full recap of what we completed this year, and then projects that we're going to be looking at over the winter time, so then when the spring hits,
Yeah, and that's kind of what we tried to put in the notes.
here, and then it's what's moving forward. And then obviously we'll be in budget time, we'll get a clearer picture. I am gonna come, I don't wanna tip all my cards tonight, but get the board to start thinking that another way of looking at, it may not be a popular one, but another way of getting a whole lot of roads done is potentially going out and bonding roads as well. You look at, roads, you drive on them for the next 20, 30 years, should you pay for it all up at once? It's a way of getting a lot of roads done and pay for it over time. Some towns do it, sometimes do it as, I'll use my pay-as-you-go, which isn't a popular saying in our finance. They looked at me strange when I brought that up. But I'm gonna come with a lot of different options that this board can fully, debate, have a conversation of, and decide which way we wanna go. But I think it's important to note that the town's not sitting on a whole bunch of money, not wanting to pave roads. We have $189,000 left to pave roads, and that's not gonna get you a whole lot of pavement.
other questions?
I just want to thank Anne Marie and the crew for doing this. This makes it a lot easier for all these projects to
Right up till 5:30 tonight.
to read and to keep
I
up
thought I
and
was
keep
gonna
track
come in
of.
this morning and spend a
I've
couple
seen-
hours getting ready for
I've
the
seen
meeting,
some
and
of
I spent my whole
those
day.
columns that you have, and
Yes.
just like, okay.
Yeah,
now
and I know it's a lot to, it's a lot of
It's much
stuff to
easier,
take
though.
in, but
It's
we're
very good.
kind of, we kind of do this on a piecemeal basis of something that, since I got here, we've really been trying to kind of, tick a little bit away.
easier.
And the problem is, I go in, I find adjustments that I need to make, and then I have to remember to make those adjustments in the system, then I have to go rerun reports and pull all the data, because this is not a system report, this is a generated report
Yeah, this is good job.
from the system, so you have to look at every year in itself and accumulate it all into one schedule.
Nice job. Much
But we
easier.
did, particularly on the roads, we did
Yeah.
collapse all of the old years into the 1 year of the 2,500 account, which is our one account, the annual, road
Road
repairs
maintenance.
account. And I will kind of address Selectman Lemire. I'm not too jazzed about adding accounts, because I've been trying to reduce the number of accounts. And reducing the number of accounts and not adding an account for every year, which is what we used to do. We'd add a road repair line for this year, and then we'd add a new account for the next year. It creates a whole lot more accounting issues, because now we've got 6 years' worth of road repair line items open, that when we don't need that. We need one line item, we need one line item for LoCIP, we need one line item for road repairs, and we use that same account number on an ongoing basis. And what that does is it keeps it very clear as to what money is remaining, what budget dollars are rolling from the previous year into the new year with it, and then adding to the new years of funds. So I don't wanna add any accounts, because it just, it does it. Now, you can take that account and say you've got a budget of $500,000 or whatever it is, and you can earmark a certain dollar amount of that to be spent, kind of like on a sub-account basis, but not really tracking it in the system, because for our purposes, it makes it a whole lot harder. The more accounts you add, it's adding to this, massive dump of accounts.
Yeah, as long as we can earmark it, I have no problem with that.
You can have your one line item, which keeps the system
Just like we do for
cleaner, and
every
then have
account.
sub-line items of that
Office
account.
supplies or whatever, in the
Correct.
budget, you get those budget books, and every line item within the budget is kind of earmarked for a particular thing, whether it's,
Detailed report.
memberships or trainings or
Yep.
whatever. And we do use that. I look at those project budgets all the time to figure out what line item is this supposed to come out of.
Yeah, because then we can guarantee those projects will get done if they're earmarked, money's earmarked for that. That's what
Right.
the whole point is.
I mean, and that's
Yep.
and that's also making it clear what the account is to be used for, in particular, so.
Couple of questions for you. One, before you got to capital, did you mention a line in expenses for police station repairs? Or was that just the capital?
There is,
Was that related to the flooding?
Yes, I
Okay.
believe there is still some ongoing.
Are we ever gonna get ceiling tiles downstairs in the lobby?
Yes.
Yeah, it looks
Yes,
pretty bad.
and there was some
Yes.
issues with the insurance company that was
Right, I
going
remember
back
that.
and forth with that. There are a couple of these line items that you will see in my notes that say consolidate with accounts below. So we had one that was earmarked for police department plumbing at one point, we didn't use it. We wanna kinda roll that into the one line item for town hall repairs and upgrades. There's like 2 accounts for the fire department, one was for station upgrades, one was for other. We just like to create an account for everything, so, and I'm trying to reduce the number of accounts that we have.
And on page 3 of the capital,
Yep.
Walker Field backstop replacement, there are $650 remaining.
Yeah,
budget.
and now, I haven't talked to Tam yet.
Is that
That-
project completed?
I assume it is, but I'm gonna pull it off of there and put it into the completed.
Okay.
Because I haven't talked to Tanya to make sure that there was no follow-up stuff that she,
Because if it's
needed,
not
like
completed,
finished stuff that she needed.
$650 isn't gonna do a lot
That's
of
why
work.
I left it there more for my own purposes, to just follow up with her, to
Okay.
make sure that if that is remaining, you won't see that on the next schedule, I'm gonna put that in the hidden, closed project section.
But then we'll we'll bring you guys a reallocation if there's money that.
We have to look at that,
we
and
gotta-
and part of the problem of looking at this whole reallocation is going back several years. I don't have a lot of faith in those closed projects of what shows as remaining budget, because going back to like 2018, 2019, maybe 2020, a lot of the budgets were not loaded into the system. So it might look like there's a surplus in a line item, but shit. So we're gonna have to come up with a way of kind of starting with what our fund balance is, backing out our bond projects, and then kind of backing into the number that's hopefully a positive number that can be reallocated. Because there are some projects that are closed and complete that were either never funded or were over budget and were never funded. So-
We're in a deep cleanup mode.
Yeah.
We're, as I'll say, we're geeking out, big time, in the
But
finance
this is
office,
like-
but we're cleaning it up, so we have great numbers. It was
This
something.
is what's taking, like, it's, every time I look at this, I try to do a little more to try to get to where we can do that analysis of looking at what's, hopefully that there's money that we can reallocate to other
So-
projects.
Just for clarification, so I was involved in that backstop project. That was a capital from last year. She
Yeah.
had two quotes. $52,000 and $37,000. So I brought a contractor into her, had it requoted. It came in at 17,000, something like that. It was substantially cheaper. So he may, there may well be, I believe that project is closed. I went down and checked it with
Yeah.
Jane and everything. I think it's done. So if there's 650 left, you say you bring that back into like a locked or hidden fund. Does that stay with Park and Recs at 650? Or does
Well,
that
so
go
what
back
else- so
into
what
a
else-
general
so-
fund and?
Well, so what happens, the charter doesn't roll funds that have been allocated to capitals back to the general fund after a certain number of years. Whether they are unexpended funds, it sits there. And the only way those can be reallocated is via the budget process of, you can't allocate funds from a project that, wasn't completed or is completed, and you can't, we don't have the flexibility to just reallocate that to some other project. It has to go through the budget process, which is a little bit cumbersome, just in terms of doing business. If you're looking for funds, to say, hey, we got this emergency project, can we take it from this line item when we can't? So that reallocation has not been done since this fund was kind of set in stone. Bruce kind of set July 1 of 2018 as the start date of looking at these, really is looking at this. There is stuff going back further than that. The problem with just accumulating every single year is in the reporting and not closing the fund every year, and that's part of what our problem is of me having to do each year's. But to reallocate those projects, like I was saying, normally I could go budget versus actual and figure out, was it over or under budget? But because I don't have a lot of confidence in not in the spend side so much, on the budget side, because a lot of times the budget was only being loaded for the town's piece of, say, a grant project. So when it should be loaded at 100% of the expenditures. So it might look like we've got surplus, or it might look like we're over, not too confident. So we have to kind of do a backwards analysis to figure out what funds are left over. So that $650 would not particularly stay with Park and Rec. Potentially could be if there was a request in the capitals to move that to another line item. But for our purposes, we're gonna look at the fund as a whole, because there are so many old closed projects, and then hopefully determine that there is surplus left over. Then take that surplus, build from that surplus to be able to fund next year's capitals. So normally we've been taking from fund balance. We may not need to allocate from fund balance because we may have already available funds that have already been allocated from the general fund in prior years. That's the hope.
You think you're gonna be able to do this by budget seasons?
Yeah.
Excellent.
Because we have a good idea of where our current open so we're gonna look at it from an open project standpoint. So we're going backwards instead of from a closed project standpoint, because I don't have a great deal of confidence in the status of those closed remaining funds. We're gonna look at it from, what's our fund balance? How much do we need remaining of those how much open project balance do we need? Back out all the bond stuff that is embedded in here, because that's a whole separate animal in itself. And then look at just the remaining budgeted stuff right now, and compare that to, do we have enough money in the fund that's gonna cover those projects that are outstanding? Does that make sense?
Yes, no, it makes complete sense. You're going to at some point look at the older closed projects to see whether.
No, we're not even gonna look at the older closed projects. I'm just taking them out to try to make a list of ongoing projects that are still active.
So
Because those are the ones that we need the money to fund. So let's say we've got $1.5 million of ongoing projects. Do we have sufficient fund balance to say, we've got, I don't know, $5 million of fund balance? Let's back off what we need for the current projects. What is remaining? We then should hopefully have money left over to be able to reallocate to other projects.
Thank you. Any other questions?
To say that the finance office is slightly busy would be an
If you come to my office, bring a match and some lighter fluid, because the amount of paper in my office is ridiculous right now.
Yeah, I avoid that hallway at all costs, because, yeah. But they've been doing, I've said it
Yes.
3 times, they've been doing a great job. It's important as we get to the budget that we're gonna be in a tricky budget year. that if we have the ability to swipe capital accounts to refund other capital accounts, it just saves everybody. And
Sure does.
we're working,
Well, and it doesn't make sense for us to continue to leave money sitting
yeah.
on the table that's
Sure.
already been funded from taxpayer funds, and then go out and ask for more
More
taxpayer
money
funds.
when you actually.
When we
didn't-
probably, hopefully have funds, at least some funds available to fund capital projects without reallocating,
And once we do
allocating more.
this, the initial one, it's a lot. Then you start looking at it every 2 or 3 years. It becomes a little bit, it's not gonna be as much money, you know, and I don't know if we're gonna have a lot of money. We're all over, some days we're like, oh, we may have a lot, and there's like,
But
we may
then
not.
you can look
know?
at it on an annual basis, because on an annual basis now, I know the budgets that we're loading, and I know the expenditures that are running through there, where I have a good handle on those, so there's a little more confidence in the over-under budget on those projects.
You can do the swipe.
Right, because there's not
annually.
very old historical data that we're working with, we're only working with, say, last year's projects, we're not working with 6 years' worth of projects.
All right, moving on to item number 8,
Thank you, Anne Marie.
correspondence. Does anyone have anything? Seeing none, moving on to, Justin?
I did for boards and commissions,
Okay.
but if you wanna,
Moving on to item 9, boards and commissions.
typically, this is a item that I do not speak on. I did receive an email over the weekend from Selectman Bishop. I thought his request was really good, and it was a simple one. Hey, can you get him a list of all of the boards and commissions and all of the current members and their expiry date to me? And I said, that's a great request. Not only am I gonna get it to you, but I'm gonna print it off for each of our board as well. So this is what you see in front of you. With that, I'm gonna stay in my quiet world, drink my water, because I'm gonna have to talk again, but that's what this piece of paper, or that packet is all the boards and commissions, what we believe is the most up-to-date information, the date they were appointed, and their expiration date. So great request, Selectman Bishop.
So let's just cover the
Yep.
standard first. Boards and commissions, we have one reappointment today. Andrew Champagne for the Ad hoc Water Level Committee, party unaffiliated member. Term end date will be 10/27.
I make a motion to reappoint Andrew Champagne to the Ad hoc Water Level Committee, party unaffiliated, member seat, term ending 10/20/27.
We have a motion, we have a second. Do we have any discussion?
I'll second the motion.
We already had the second.
Oh, sorry.
All in favor? Unanimous?
And then we have one resignation. Candace Bouchard, Winchester Housing Authority, party unaffiliated.
Thank you, Candace, with her service to the Winchester Housing Authority. While we're still on boards and commissions, Selectman Pozo, do you wish to remain on the vetting committee?
Yes.
Okay. We need a Democrat on the committee.
I have a
Cheryl?
question about the vetting committee.
Sure.
What is the process?
I was gonna get to that step next, but, so normally, someone's going to submit an application to the town clerk's office. The vetting committee is going to make sure they're eligible to serve on the committee by charter, which is complicated sometimes. Make sure they match party affiliation for the board, so one party isn't overrepresented. And then they present it to the rest of the board. At the first step would be the consideration stage. So it would be, they apply, it's vetted by the committee, then they're added to the consideration stage. Nothing happens there, just continue looking to the next meeting, which would be the second meeting, which would be the nomination stage. We would vote on that, and then the third meeting, they would be voted onto the board.
So it's a process that takes at least 2 months to get through.
Yes.
Why do we
which
have such a
gets
cumbersome
to
process?
my next part of that. We need to streamline that process.
I mean, I would think
6 to
that-
8 weeks
yeah.
is too long for someone to wait when we have 10, 13 15-plus openings. When people volunteer, that's the best time to seat them, not 2 months later when they may have changed their mind. So after we set the vetting committee, we should look at streamlining the process and making it a little more aerodynamic.
Just a recommendation, Mr. Mayor, you may get more people to volunteer once you fix
Yeah.
You're asking somebody to volunteer when they're not knowing what they're about to volunteer. It's your
Yes.
board, but I just point out, you may want to do that first, then you may get better volunteers. Just my 2 cents on that.
Right. Well, the vetting committee we need first.
Well, wouldn't you want to set the parameter first, and then you may get
Well, we need the
volunteers?
committee to discuss the parameters.
Oh, you want the vetting committee to set the parameters, not the
And
board?
then they'll present it to the board
Oh.
to vote. That was my thought,
Oh.
unless other members of the board wanted to discuss that and then set the vetting committee.
I think that, I mean, it just seems like an extra step again. You know, when the board's gonna make the ultimate decision, it just, if you've got people that are willing to participate, and they're eligible, and I understand the need to determine eligibility, clearly, but once they're eligible, then it should be brought before the board, and I think that's something we as a board can make the decision on now, instead of going through more stages.
I think that that's reasonable, because technically the vetting can be done as soon as they submit the application. Because that's gonna get
What's the
sent.
history of this, Todd? You got more
So
time in
it's
this.
went all over the place.
Yeah.
When I first got on the board, as soon as you applied, you were voted onto the board. Some of the selectmen had trouble with the charter, because sometimes the charter is different for different boards and commissions, so sometimes somebody wasn't meeting the criteria to be able to be seated on that board, so they wanted to look at the process for a longer period of time, which is how they added that consideration step. But I think we can do the vetting as soon as they send the application in, and, you know, the first meeting,
Do nomination appointment.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I thought, we talked about that, I thought, last time, because before this, there was 3 steps. There was consideration.
Right.
We did nomination, and then the following meeting, we did appointment.
Right.
So we had knocked it down to 2 steps, but
I think we can
could,
probably do it
I
in
think we
one.
could
Get rid of the whole
consideration
thing.
as well.
Glenn takes the applications. If there's a conflict because of their residency or something, he can figure that out. Give
Well,
us the,
we don't
give it
wanna
to the
dump
board
that
and we're
on
done.
Glenn.
Yeah, no, that's.
Well, he
us,
does it
but-
anyway.
No, he doesn't. He just gets the application and sends it to us.
Well, the vetting committee can do that.
Right.
And then the next meeting,
Exactly.
they're up there. We all get a copy of the application, and we can all vote on it at the first meeting that it's presented.
And I'll sit on the vetting committee with Bill and whoever wants the vetting.
But
Spot.
I have a question. Is the board, the chair of each board, are they at all involved in vetting? Like, I feel like they would
No,
know
they're
what,
not.
okay.
No, because we appoint the
Yes.
commissioners.
But do they give any sort of recommendation based on what they need and who, you know, what they need on the board?
Sometimes they
what kind
do.
of qualifications?
Sometimes they do, but we don't
I know that
necessarily
we vote
need
on
to
it. Yeah.
accept their input.
I'll be on the vetting committee.
Okay.
I may interject that, I think what you all have come up with is that it will take no more than 2 weeks to get somebody, and I'm saying worst case scenario, if somebody puts their application in on a Sunday or a Friday, you gotta give the vetting committee some time.
Well, that's,
So that's the two, so if it
Exactly.
comes in on Monday, it's not gonna be voted on that night. So the worst case scenario is it's gonna take 2 weeks, because that's the next meeting. So, to anyone wondering or hoping to get on it, I think what the board just decided to do is that if you put your name forward, you possibly have an appointment coming within 2 weeks. No longer than 2 weeks.
Unless it's an emergency, which we have seated people.
Unless it's an emergency, yeah.
yeah, if
We
we
have
don't
to
have a
appoint.
quorum,
We could
have
get
to-
one
we
Monday
have to do it right
morning.
away. But we also have had, I think only once or twice in the last years, we did have applications come in at 10:30 at night on a Sunday, and they wanted to be seated Monday, and that's just,
Well, the biggest thing
unless,
here,
again, if it's.
the biggest thing there that's facing us here is there's not a whole line of people
Right.
wanting to join these commissions. We got a lot of empty commissions.
Yeah.
So let's make it as easy as possible and get them filled.
Does this require an action item right now, or to act on this, or
No.
just because it's a policy, it's not a?
Just policy.
Okay. All right.
Moving on to item, that was it, right, Bill?
That's it.
Moving on to item 10, unfinished business. We have nothing on the agenda. Item 11, new business board liaison assignments. Selectman Pozo and Lemire requested this to be on there. We put it on the first meeting after every election. First step, does anyone that's on a liaison want to get off that liaison? So,
Yes.
Yes.
Bill, you had said you wanted,
Yes, I would like to step off of the Conservation Commission.
Okay.
And I would like to go on the Board of Education, because water and sewer meets the exact same night. So all I've been doing actually for the last 2 years is just walking across the hall. Actually, I've been doing that to an awful lot of meetings, so I see everybody here at some of the meetings, so, yes, so Conservation Commission come off, and then I can do Water and Sewer, Board of Ed, and I'll stay on the Historic Commission.
okay.
And did you let the new selectmen know you can be on as many commissions as
Many-
you want?
And we can't have more
or
than
as
one
few
being
as
a
you want?
liaison to a board, if so desired. There are a couple that aren't on here, but that's all right, we'll get to that. Yeah, that's what I'm gonna do. Yep,
Or at least I am.
that's because I have one that's filled out here.
Do you want me to take off what I want off? Or?
Yep.
All right, so I'm getting off of wetlands, and then I'm getting off of zoning.
Inland wetlands, okay.
Yeah.
And,
I'm staying on assessment appeals
wait, hold it, what was the other one you wanted off of?
in the wetlands and zoning, planning and zoning.
Oh, okay, there you are. Okay,
What did I give you for a list, Bill? You got it?
so you're on BAA,
Yeah.
you're on ethics,
Ethics,
and those were the two that you remained on.
and then the ones on the bottom, what were the aging, then the housing authority and the, what was the other, health
Manchester
department,
Housing Authority.
health
Torrington
department,
Health Area Health?
We don't need a liaison for that one.
you know?
We do not.
Okay.
I would like to fill in for planning and zoning.
Okay. Any other ones you want?
Is there someone currently on the Economic Development Commission?
Nope.
And I'll take that one also.
Okay. Cheryl, any commissions?
Yeah, I'd like to join Bill on the Board of Education as liaison, and I'm also interested in the Ethics Commission. I see that's an on-call. What does that mean?
They only meet when they're
There's an issue?
issue.
Okay.
Yep. Okay. Architectural reviews and inactive committee, so we don't need one there. Does anyone want Conservation Commission? If not, I will take that one. Just for the record, you do not have to attend every meeting, but try to get there, or at least be available to them.
Conservation, I'm sorry,
I'll
Mr. Mayor, you're
take
going
that,
on it?
yeah,
Okay.
I'll take that one. Inland wetlands and water course, Troy got off of that.
I'm going Thursday, but that's the last time.
Okay.
Does anyone want that one?
Which one?
Inland
Inland
wetlands. Okay.
I don't have that much time in my life.
Those are long meetings.
Bill, you wanted off of Soldiers Monument?
I'm off Soldiers Monument, and I'm gonna do a joint liaisonship on the Planning and Zoning Commission and also the Economic Development Commission.
Okay,
And I'll keep Park and Recs.
okay, does anyone want Soldiers Monument?
Oh, I might as well do it. I don't have enough commissions.
just put Hester's name on the rest of them, he'll take care
Yeah,
of
you
it.
might as well.
Voluntold.
I tease everybody, I have a room downstairs, so.
Give me the keys to my office, you can hang out there.
You're only going to 4 meetings a week, you can do 5, you know?
Don't be surprised if I pop in on another ones, guys.
Well, we can tag team on the education.
Yes.
Anybody want the housing authority?
Troy.
Troy, you picked that?
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Someone should be on zoning board of appeals.
Paul's on
Paul
that.
is, Paul.
Oh, we stay in?
Yeah,
Okay.
Paul's staying.
Okay.
I believe he is.
Here, we can put them on a whole bunch of stuff.
Okay, he's gonna be on the DAA, the citation hearing, the Board of Ed, the rec, no, just kidding. Sorry, Paul. I'm sure he's
Paul may
BAA
want-
too. Top BAA.
Actually, I
that's
don't know
true.
if he will or not. Yeah, Terry's got this copy.
How'd you get that?
I asked her to do it when I popped in this afternoon for us. Ad hoc water level, looks like Candy was on that as the liaison. I'm not sure when they meet.
Paul will take that one, he lives at the lake.
Yeah.
Untold.
We'll give it to him, put him on there.
Yeah, just tell him he was appointed, he was anointed.
Voluntold.
I know he's watching, so you got it, Paul.
Yeah, he's not watching yet.
Yeah.
You can say, thank you later.
Where?
That's not on there.
Oh.
Does that cover everything?
I believe it does. Yeah, it looks like everything is covered.
Historic and inland wetlands.
Historic, I'm just gonna stay on historic,
okay.
and I'm doing inland wetlands.
Oh, you're gonna do another one, Bill?
Yep, and water and sewer, and Board of Ed, and,
Don't forget, it's not necessarily.
No, I-
Want to go Thursday night?
as
Yeah,
long as it's
so,
not the third Wednesday, because I have to actually, a job that I have to do that meeting, where I'm the presenter instead of the listener.
What I did the last 2 years, just so you guys know, is I look at the agenda as soon as it comes out, and I read through the agenda. Sometimes the agenda's like, they gotta review their water bill, re-up a member, and then they're out. It's literally 15-minute meeting, I don't even bother going. Like with Park and Recs, I'm heavily involved, but I still only maybe went to 6, 7 meetings in the last 2 years. However, they called me a few times. I'm always available by email, video phone, I have the laptop at home, the phone. If they need something during a meeting, they know they can call, they know I'm watching a meeting at home, and I'll pick up and we can discuss it. So you do always have the option of doing it electronically as well.
All right, moving on to item,
Who was on the zoning boards of appeals? I just,
I
Nobody.
don't think you can do both planning and zoning boards of appeal.
I'm
as
just
a
curious.
liaison, you
Oh,
could.
yeah, you can't, you
But
have
not
no
as a
vote.
member.
That's
right.
true.
Because the liaison just reports back to us, you don't have voting rights or.
Yeah, none of these liaisonships are voting rights.
No.
or-
That's correct.
And more of an observe and report role.
You want it?
What do you want?
Which date does that one meet?
You better call your wife after all these.
I think
If something comes up and the meetings meet at the same time or whatever, we can revisit
Okay.
this at a future meeting as long as we add it to the agenda.
So
I think
Kevin,
I
you
better
want a
stick with
ZBA?
Less is more, trust me, you'll
I
figure it
think I
out.
better stick with the 2 for now, yeah.
Easing.
Yeah.
What, you wanted EDC
EDC and planning and zoning.
or planning and zoning, okay. All right, moving on to item B, 2026 Board of Selectmen meeting schedule.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. With an attempt that it won't take us 3 meetings this time because we kept messing up the dates last time. These are all of the meetings by charter. Every board and commission is to set their meetings for the 2026 calendar year. What's before you is the first and third Monday of every month, except if Monday is a holiday, we then move the meeting to a Tuesday. I would need a formal motion to approve the meeting schedule as presented, and we would include this in the minutes. We triple checked this, I even had the mayor check it before he came down here tonight. We believe we got all the dates right this year. We're not taking 3 attempts at this.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Thank you, Cheryl. Thank you, Troy. Any discussion? All in favor? Unanimous?
And I apologize, meetings beginning at 7 PM.
Yeah.
We have to set.
6 PM?
Well,
7 PM is too difficult for too many members to.
6 PM is too difficult for too many members, so it's.
Right, yeah.
So, Mr. Clerk, if the motion could reflect, and please, correct me if it's wrong, that the schedule as presented with a meeting start time of 7 PM.
Yes.
Okay.
Bummer.
And then was there a second? Yeah, this one.
Yeah, try
Because it
second.
goes actually in the audit report.
I want to pull my second back now.
Any discussion? Seeing no discussion, all in favor?
Tried.
6 grudgingly.
Maybe 6:30, middle ground.
Troy wants to do 3:45 so he can just leave work, come here, get it over with, and go home.
Item C, draft. Discussion on the draft speed camera ordinance. Town Manager Harrington.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So before you tonight is just a draft of our speed camera ordinance. As you may or may not be aware, but I'm sure everybody's aware, in ordinances, we have to have 3 meetings that the ordinance is before the Board of Selectmen. They can talk about it a little more, but I've learned in the past when suggesting ordinances, that first I give you a copy of it, we talk about it, and then we begin meeting 1, which tentatively would be set for that first December meeting, which would be our first meeting, legal notices. All of the information would go out very publicly of what the ordinance that is looking to be passed contains. I'll tell you that the ordinance, the draft ordinance that is in front of you, was written by the town attorney with the state statute in mind, in that pretty much on this particular ordinance, there isn't much wiggle room of things we can change. We have to follow the statute to a T. I guess if you had an opportunity to look it over, was there anything glaring, anything that you thought, maybe I should go back to the town attorney and get clarification on? And is this board ready to go to meeting 1 of 3 in December? Also, that in order to fully submit to the DOT to allow us to have these speed cameras, not only do we have to have the ordinance, we have to have a public hearing as well. One of my suggestions is that somewhere in between the 3 meetings, we have our public hearing, possibly between the ordinance second meeting and the 3rd meeting, we call our public hearing. Let the public come in, weigh in on it, and then you'll decide if you want to pass the ordinance on the 3rd meeting. Get the public to weigh in between the 2nd and 3rd one. And so this is the ordinance that does allow us to then put up not just speed cameras, but Attorney Nelligan did write it, if that we ever wanted to go to the red light cameras. This incorporates that as well, so we're not back to the drawing board trying to incorporate red light cameras and creating another new ordinance and confusing everybody. Let's just do it once, get it over with, and then it gives us the flexibility down the road. If there's questions about, and I know we have some newer board members, about the speed cameras, I would say, wait just 1 second. Let's talk ordinance first, and then we can open up for a broader subject on speed cameras.
The only thing I had in reviewing the proposed language is in the first sentence, it's the public act with the footnote should be removed because it already references the statute. Usually you only have reference to the public act when it hasn't been codified into the statute.
So it's always good to have an attorney on the board. I agree, you're right.
So that
You're
would give it
100%
a
right.
footnote and
Yep.
the parens.
Yep.
Other questions?
I just had a question I wanted to clarify. On the second page, under 157-27, I just noticed that it said that, that the images will be reviewed by a sworn member of the town's police department or an employee of the town if designated. Who would that employee be? Who would be reviewing besides somebody from the police department? And would that involve hiring somebody extra?
Excellent question. So I guess the first start, per charter, I am the traffic authority, and then the chief of police is our designee. So it would be up to me as the designee. The way the chief and I have originally saw this, until we get our feet underneath us, it would be myself, the chief, and then also the individual that works in the dispatch center, would be the 3 individuals trusted with it, and possibly one of our sergeants to review it. Now, depending on the amount of tickets that are issued, I don't know if you had a chance to look at the potential revenue source. This would be an area where we could fund an additional employee to review those speeding tickets. So in the beginning, we're gonna keep it small until we get our feet underneath us, keeping in mind, I'm going really down some rabbit holes. The first 30 days, the only thing that can be issued is just warnings. Letting people know that, hey, you went into a speed zone. The only thing that can happen in the first 30 days is that they get a warning sent to them. After that, then it's either no action, warning, or speeding ticket. And it would be one of the designees that would elect to decide, you know, what they would get. We may create a policy internally. You can't have favorites in this, you know. I think if, you know, it's a bad plate read or something like that, but I can't imagine there ever be a reason why you would not take no action or issue a warning when the person that maybe drove through it 2 minutes before maybe was driving 7 miles an hour less than you. They did get a ticket and you didn't. I think that's something we'll work with internally to say, you speed, you get a ticket. These zones, I'm going really down rabbit holes because I think it's important for the public to know. These zones are clearly going to be marked by state statute. 1,000 feet before the camera, you're alerted that you're entering a speed zone. 500 feet before the camera, you're alerted again, and then you're actually in the speed zone. Again, the first 30 days, the only thing that can be issued is actually a warning, and then after that, the system becomes live. There was a question that somebody had asked me, is where is the first locations? This is why I wanted room, Selectman Lemire.
They're gonna be notified also that there's speed cameras, right?
Yes.
On that
They-
notification.
Oh,
Just wanna
yes.
make sure
Oh,
that-
yes. Yes.
Yeah, I know.
So Paul, if you could clarify maybe for the audience watching too, because I'm pretty sure there's a bunch of them watching, because there was a big discussion on this over, on Facebook over this. This is a discussion on the ordinance. We had multiple meetings on the cameras. We discussed this, we looked into this. I think kind of the unanimous feeling was, we had discussed the one that they put up in, was it Washington? I happened to go through that right before our first meeting, and I was like, you gotta be kidding me, they have 3 signs. And it starts so far back that you see, warning, entering a speed zone, you know, gonna be on camera, you're gonna get a ticket. You actually go through them. If you go through that and you're speeding, you absolutely 100% deserve the ticket. If you get the ticket, you just simply don't care.
Right.
Because, I mean, the ones in Washington have little flashing lights on them. Now entering radar camera zone. Like, how you
Yeah,
go
there-
through
there
that
were
70 and a
some-
25?
There were some Facebook comments that this is a tax to balance our budget.
Yes.
I hope we make $0 on it. However, we have 55,000 cars a week on Main Street, and the average speed was
80.
I got my
That
goal.
was through the rock cuts, was over.
118 miles an hour was the high speed.
No, 121 miles an hour was the high
You're
speed.
all wrong, it was 148 miles an hour, okay? So,
That was right, that was going, that was going.
That was
west.
going towards Norfolk.
in essence, we're 70% of the people driving on the roads that we set up these cameras a while back to get our information were speeders. To Selectman Pozo's point, this discussion began last March. When this statute was passed, I presented to the board this idea. I think it was Selectman Pozo that says, get me information. And my exact response was, there isn't much information out there because it's so new. Let me see if I can get a company to give us our data. And that's what, you know, you all got the report. I know our new selectmen, I sent it to them over the weekend. They got to see our real data, that 70% of the people that are driving our.
75.9%.
She got the number
Right,
down.
and here's the thing, we set that to not even record till they were at least 10 miles an hour
Right.
over the speed limit.
Yep,
Yeah.
remember?
That's when it started recording.
Yep.
So my, my concern, I totally understand all that and all of the great values. My concern is actually about the ordinance here. I think that, you know, members of our community might feel a little uneasy about, you know, outsourcing to a machine this stuff, which I understand. I do like that it's going to be reviewed by a human. I think that's a great part. It's really the part about an employee of the town versus the police department. I just wanted to seek clarification. You know, it's very different whether someone, you know, who was, you know, hired to sit in an office and look at something and has no experience with that versus someone in the police department. So that's the only
It
thing I
would
wanted
be
to
an
clarify.
employee in the police department. It
police
wouldn't be
department.
somebody from, you know, the
Park
finance
and Rec.
department or Park and Rec.
And I can tell you, each one of them, depending on job description, it doesn't really line up into their job description whatsoever.
Yeah,
where-
it's
And
just,
again, I almost disagree with the what ifs, right? I mean, if you're reviewing a computer and it says the guy's 89 miles an hour in a 25, I don't care who's reviewing it. If you're doing 89 and 25, you're getting a ticket.
Right.
yeah.
That's it. I don't care. You know what I'm saying? This isn't a gray area. Like, this is a radar gun. It's calibrated, Paul, at least once a year, or I know
Oh,
the
no,
company.
multiple times throughout the year,
Multiple
so,
times throughout the year, so it's not like they could say, well, I wasn't really doing 89, I was doing 27. No, you weren't.
No, I totally agree. I just think that, you know, it will make it an easier sell to the town and make people feel better about it if they know, you know, who, if we just clarify who it is on the human side of it is actually reviewing it. I'm not, you know, I totally agree on the merits of the cameras
Yeah.
and that it's gonna bring safety and revenue and all that. I just wanted to clarify who it is that's actually going to be in charge of approving it according to this. Because it says a sworn member or employee of the town's police department or an employee of the town.
As designated by the traffic authority,
which would be me, obviously, and
which is
we're,
referenced earlier in the statute, in the proposal.
Thank you.
And if you don't get them here, we're gonna get them in Norfolk, because we're doing it.
And pretty
we're
soon.
way ahead of
and pretty
Norfolk. Our
will
cameras will be installed
Pretty soon,
soon.
Marquette will
You'll
have it,
have
Simsbury will have it, Canton will have it.
I think it's also very important to clarify for those that are watching that this isn't gonna cost us an arm and a leg.
Zero.
This is, you know,
Thank you.
because that was, someone was posting that's gonna be $85,000 per camera, and that's not
It's
so.
zero.
I
Yeah,
know,
zero.
it's zero.
I know the board had an ability to look at the Excel sheet. We did go out to bid. We got 8 proposals back for companies that do it. This was shared with the board many, many months ago. I think it was in September. Everyone was onto the SiteStream proposal. Because SiteStream, there's no monthly maintenance, there's no capital outlay. Sure, SiteStream is taking a little bit more of the ticket revenue, but we don't owe them anything. All this money goes into an escrow account. We take our percentage, they take their percentage. So if, as the mayor said, he hopes we make no money and everybody obeys the law. They just made a huge capital outlay, and we're not on the hook for any of the money. I think it's also important that this board had tasked me of asking the chief of police where the initial cameras should go. We have to make it very well known, so I'm not giving any trade secrets to the community. The first one would be Route 44 Main Street, area 480 Railway Cafe and Mario's. That's pointed in both directions, so 2 cameras there. Route 44 Norfolk Road, area of Dry Dam. And last but not least is North Main Street area between Wallen Street and Route 20 near the sewer plant. Would be the first 3 locations, 6 cameras that the chief is recommending that we employ.
Just a question on that.
Sure.
Why not the area in front of the Y, which where it goes to 25 miles per hour? We got that curve. That's a very dangerous curve.
That one might be the way the camera works. I printed a pretty cool diagram, and if I remember going back, they like that straight shot so they can get a wider, I guess the best recommendation, go on and type in like speed cameras and watch the YouTube videos that all these companies put out, and you can see how these cameras work. I agree with you because you want to get them, I know exactly where you're talking. I think they like that wider street so they can get more
So
area
much
to cover.
pedestrian traffic in front of that YMCA,
Yeah.
you know, with swim team and
Yeah.
everything. And it's just, it's
Well,
so hazardous.
hopefully, we slow them down way before there,
Yeah.
and it stays that way.
It seems like you speed up around there now.
For Cheryl and Kevin, we have to leave the cameras there for 18 months. After the 18 months, we can move them to a different location. So,
We'd have to go back to the DOT.
Right.
The good part there is all this stuff being done in the background, we haven't spent $1 with SiteStream. They're gathering all the information, they're gathering all the data that they're gonna submit to the DOT. Once we check our boxes on our end, and then DOT, I believe, has 60 days to respond to say yay or nay. I think a question came up, was we're a distressed community, does that play a factor? It may, but I've seen that in Hamden, Connecticut, which is also a distressed community, they were able to put cameras on their state roads. So I don't see this being any different than what Hamden was able to do down there. Again, early in the process, community members here, community members watching at home, there will be a public hearing. In fact, when we set it, I want to get a date where SiteStream, the company that we're going to work with, is actually here answering your questions. Bring the experts in. I don't claim to be an expert in anything. I want to bring the expert in, so if there's a technical question or anything, they're here to answer it, so you're hearing it right from the company that are putting it out there. The owner and inventor of these cameras, his name is Andrew. He promises he will be at the meeting.
So I'm gonna go back a little bit, old school, back in the day. If everybody remembers, you don't wanna go through Canton really fast because you're gonna get a ticket.
Yeah.
I think we need to be like that too. According to the report that we just got here, our Winston PD did 71 traffic stops last month. That's like 2 a day. You could do 2 in 15 minutes out there. So this is kind of a request for the chief and the town manager. I think we need to get a patrol stepped up a little on Main Street. Let people know that you can't come speeding through Winston anymore. Slow down a little bit. Yes, there's ideas about changing the traffic. You know, maybe putting the 2 lanes on the riverside, put parking here. That's a state road. That's gonna be a lot. I would like to see us slow them down now here in Winston. And granted, so the people that are listening, all that money that we give out in tickets goes to the state of Connecticut on any state road. But
We get a small percentage though. I thought we get like 10% or something. No,
we
that's
get
what-
nothing.
Unfortunately not.
So, but I think
Cameras, we get all of it.
Yeah.
Well, not all,
think
because you're the company.
Well,
Voting
yeah,
against,
minus their.
we get less than 50%, but I would like to see it's happening now.
Agreed.
Let's start stopping people on the corner, straightaways, coming, going, because I'm getting complaints. Why is it coming into town? Why is it painted coming in? Why are you choking it down? I'm like, that's to slow people down. So if we get out there now, get ahead of this, maybe we can find different locations for these, like by the schools where it's a little bit more important.
Oh, we got more coming.
Right,
These
I
are just the
understand
initial
that.
3 to get our feet wet.
But this is back to the other side where I'm hearing Big Brother is looking down on you, and I also am not really thrilled about it, so.
So the selectman has to.
And that's coming from my big brother, so.
This is the 3rd or 4th time we've had this discussion. We talked about putting cruisers on Main Street, one with a cop in it, one without a cop in it, just having the lights on. We did it for 2-3 weeks, stopped doing it. We brought it up another time, we had them looking on Thursdays, Fridays,
But
Saturdays,
stop people.
around the
Give them
Y to stop
tickets.
people. We did
Stop
it for
it.
2-3
If you're
weeks.
speeding, get
and we
stopped
stopped.
now.
And you're right,
that-
Canton was one of
Sorry.
those towns when I was growing up.
Dated
that
myself.
We just didn't even go that way, because if you went through Canton, you were at 27 and a 25, you were getting yanked over, you were
Yes, you
getting a
were.
ticket, and that was
Try
that.
speeding down south.
And not to go wacko over this whole thing, but,
Yes.
more than we already are, the state came to us with a plan. Do they still plan on doing the lighted crosswalks and all that? I mean, I know they started their.
Yeah, we did the
They're
They're
lane.
lane dieting and stuff, yes.
There was a plan presented to you, and I haven't heard anything on that.
There was a plan presented. Right now, they're still in their fact-finding mode of what did the lane dieting do. They're still gathering information, and then we'll meet again probably in the springtime. And you know, I'm not afraid to.
Do you need crosswalks?
Yeah, and they had great ideas with the crosswalks, with the plastic bollards and everything like that. There's a whole big plan that I had the engineer plans. They're still in my office actually, but we are at the state's call to get it done. But I have no problem calling the state of Connecticut
Yeah,
and
ruffles
getting our
and
deal.
feathers if
Yeah,
he's
I have no
where we're
problem.
at.
ruffling feathers.
Before we move on, page 2, 157-26.
Yep.
You're adding to violations or fails to stop such motor vehicle when facing a steady red signal on a traffic control sign. Such failure is detected by an automatic traffic enforcement safety device. Red light camera? Is what
That was the point where Attorney Nelligan suggested that if you're gonna create an ordinance,
Include
create
that.
the whole ordinance, so if you ever decide that you wanna enlist a red light camera, you're not going back and creating a whole nother ordinance.
Can we also add in violations if you're caught passing a school bus with the red lights on the speed camera? Or is that
in
It's
the
a state
state.
statute.
That's a state statute where what,
Well, speed camera's under a state
what the
statute.
mayor's suggesting is that this company not only does all of this stuff, they also can put cameras on buses and get the people that are.
Well,
A lot of
I'm not
buses
talking
have
about
cameras,
that.
so-
I'm talking about on the speed camera, not additional cameras. So
Is
the
there,
camera at Route
would there be a
44,
bus stop at the camera
there's
location?
think you can-
main stuff.
I don't think the camera's gonna be able to do
No.
that. I'll ask, but I think the camera's just trained to do one thing, and I don't think it's looking for other
Okay.
violations. But,
It would have to stop like right there in front of it.
well,
Well, there are
and
Main
is the
Street- a lot of
camera
Main Street stops.
trained to not only do speed, but also other violations? I don't, I've never heard
Probably
of it,
not.
but I can ask.
Now that you think about it.
Paul, on that same statement, just correct the spelling of device, so that we don't have to.
Spelling on what?
Device.
He spelled it
Device.
DEVISE.
Devise a plan. Okay, any other
Good
questions?
catch.
I just, you know, as a newbie, just coming back to in 15728, I'm just curious, because it's going into the ordinance, so this means these fees are set for as long as this ordinance is in place, the $50?
These fees are set by state statute.
Okay,
Um,
and that's-
Yeah, so it's $50 for the first violation, any additional violation is $75. We are allowed to charge a $15 processing fee, that's set by state statute. Any town that's going to put speed cameras in, same fine for a month. If you're in Fairfield County, you don't get to charge 100, when you're up here, you don't get to charge 50. Every town that enlists speed cameras, fees are the fees. But great question.
So I read through this, on Friday, and it seems to be okay to me. I didn't really find any, I'm bad at spelling, so I would've missed that, but I went through the whole thing and I thought, so what do you need from us tonight?
Really nothing. This was not an actionable item tonight. This was just your first chance to look at a draft ordinance. If the board thinks that this is ready for prime time, we will start meeting one. I think our first meeting is December 1st, right after Thanksgiving. We'll do meeting one of
So-
3 to get the
We're
ball
gonna do
rolling.
an
on
under
this.
official vote to find out if the board's all ready?
Well, you don't need an official vote tonight. You can, that
Put
Paul.
it on the agenda for next
Yeah,
week.
just put it on the agenda. It seems like there's general consensus, which is fine
Yes.
by me.
Go ahead.
But starting at the December 1st meeting, you're gonna wanna vote to move it to the 2nd, and then between the 2nd and the 3rd, we'll do a public hearing, and so on and so on.
Anything else? Item D, Wallensville Infrastructure Report Update. If you had your water.
Yeah, and I wrote a lot about this, because one thing I am not is a engineer. So I did send out this report, I think sometime last week when I got it, roughly a 100-page document. Wallensville is the 118 acres that we're looking to develop. We are out to an RFP and an RFQ for that particular structure, which is due sometime in December. Former Selectwoman Perez suggested that we test the infrastructure underneath the ground. So spend a little money, test the infrastructure underneath. What I'm about to read is my takeaway from talking with our Public Works Director, talking with our gentleman that works in land use, and talking with Apex. In no particular order, but this was all of this surmised in a page-and-a-half document. So I'm gonna start reading it, stop me at any time. First, the storm drainage system. Overall, the system is in good shape. There are a few catch basins that require some attention and maintenance, but nothing out of the ordinary. Most of it is what you can expect to find in a system of this age. Remember, that system is well over 20 years old. It's safest for any developer looking at the site to assume those basins will need routine care, cleaning out overgrown vegetation, dredging them so they hold their full intended volume. This is pretty standard with old basins and is not a showstopper, but it's fair to at least flag it now. That when we do bring in developers, I don't think this is an issue, my opinion, that we need to address as a board. I think if this ultimate land ends up, getting developed by a developer, we let them know, hey, those catch basins are 20 years old. You're gonna wanna clean them, I don't think that's a cost that we need to take on our part.
It's not very costly.
It's not very costly either, no.
And what's wrong, the castings are good. It's where they put the pipe in and they parge around the pipe. That always deteriorates after 20 years, so that's why.
Yeah, And let's say we just, and my other thought behind this was, is let's say you give me authorization, I go clean it now. That property may still be 2 to 3 years from being developed. By the time you're pulling permits, by the time you do your design, what does it look like then? Get it to a developer, they're gonna have to clean it anyways, you might as well just clean it when they're ready to build on it. Moving on, the water main. The upper portion of the main appears to be intact and likely ready to reuse. And those aren't my words, that's coming from the Apex report, which is positive. There is, however, an issue in the section from Wallens Hill to about the halfway point along the main. It looks like this isn't due to any kind of break or major failure, but rather a valve that isn't closing all the way. Pretty common problem according to the experts. Sometimes if you exercise an open and close of the valve a few times, it fixes itself. If that doesn't work, we can bring in a leak detection company to check for the leaks to find out exactly what's going on. But this is a more matter of putting in a little effort to figure it out than the fix itself. It's not a huge showstopper, a huge expense. It's just a matter of a little bit of time of, all right, is the valve sticking? Is it not? Again, I do, and I was hoping I would get it, but I don't have a price on what that would look like, bringing in a professional to do it. But again, not a huge showstopper.
I wouldn't even touch it, let the developer do it.
Again, this is why I wanted to bring this to the board. There's a few other questions I'm gonna ask before we wrap this all up. Next up is the low-pressure sewer system. The manholes themselves seem to be in decent condition. The issue is the pipes and the valves inside the manholes need to be replaced. This is a relative minor repair, but it does mean we couldn't pressure test the force mains, the main pipes, until the work is done. The expectation is the force mains themselves are probably still in great shape, but they still need to be tested. A separate question came up of whether they are functioning valves at every individual lot on the system, or if this needs to be addressed. Electric and communication, the conduit that they're running down to provide cable and electricity and all that seems to be in great shape. Apex did note that fiber optic cable is the new latest trend. There is no fiber in that. We would let whatever developer potentially that is going to purchase it to let them know that there are no fiber optics that are running down the conduit. They can do as they wish with it. There is cable, there is phone, and there is obviously electric. Taking a step back, their words, the report is very encouraging overall. Most of the infrastructure is good or repairable condition, and there wasn't any major surprises or big ticket items to identify. For storm drainage system, I don't think the town needs to do anything at this point. Let's have the eventual winning bidder for the site handle any needed drainage fixes, basin maintenance as part of their development plan. On the water main, what we're recommending is we work with our water department to actively test and exercise those valves, basically run them through the movements to see if it clears up the issue. If we still can't get that section to shut down completely, then we may need to bring in that leak detection company. And as far as the low pressure system, we're suggesting we hire a contractor to open and remove the valves in a representative sample of manholes and pressure test the connecting pipe section. This will give us a much clearer picture. In general, that's what's in this 100-page document. We're in great shape. Why I wanted to bring this at the board level, we are due to get bids back sometime in December. We can post this document online as an addendum to at least let the contract or the developers know this is where we stand. I do want to get you the prices of those items. Maybe we do address them, maybe we don't. But I think this report alone, how glowing it is going to even attract more interest in that property up there.
Absolutely.
I'm going to open that up for now board discussion. But
So I'm gonna tell you right now, out of 1.7 million of infrastructure, it's not even a drop in a hat what needs to go on that property, because it's only partially done. So, but that's a very encouraging report. All the stuff that they mentioned, I read through the report 3 times, just to make sure I got everything, and nothing was of a costly nature. So it held pressure, it just didn't hold pressure for long. That's a valve, 20 years, you expect that. Everything that's damaged on there from not being used for 20 years is expected. So a developer going in there knowing that they have that much in there, it's gonna be very little for them to repair. If they need to add to it anyway, the town should leave it alone, sell it as is with that. That's my opinion.
Other?
I was actually surprised it was in good shape that it was in too for something that's never
A lot of
been
prayers,
used.
Selectman Hester, a lot of prayers at night.
Because I've seen systems used for 100 years that doesn't sound as good as that, so I was actually pretty surprised. It could have been a lot worse, because all those water pipes, those gaskets could have been leaking, and that would have been really expensive. So holding it a little bit, if it's just exercising a valve, I bet almost a crew could do it. But it may not be, it's a gate valve, goes up and down, it may not see, there could be a piece of debris in there just holding it back, so I'm actually surprised. I'm not surprised about even the drainage up there being in good shape like it is. You know, and I saw the pictures too, I went over the report, they're full, that's not a bad thing, remember, it's a
They're holding water.
pressurized, well, it's a pressurized system.
Right.
So there is gonna be bleeders in there throughout the system, just like there is around Highland Lake, there's bleeders to bleed that. You don't want air in any system at all, so I was surprised, it's in good shape.
Yeah, I was pretty happy.
I was very happy.
Yeah. I was
Anything
too.
else?
No, I agree, but I think, Paul, you should put that out as an addendum.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let the
Absolutely.
potential bidders know,
I agree.
Absolutely.
while we're
Agree
looking
that.
at, you know,
Yep.
95%.
Yeah.
And I don't think we
Okay.
should look at doing any of the repairs at this point. I think leave it to those people.
Just leave it.
Whoever gets the winning bid, because that's gonna be part of how they're gonna develop the property. So
Yep.
let them do it. Any changes they wanna make, they're responsible.
On that point too, that's another thing that nobody's thinking of. So that system was put in for that development that was approved. If they change anything about that,
Right.
they're not gonna be able to use that anyway.
why
So
we-
why would we put money into something that we have no idea what's going on?
Because they're gonna use the mains,
Yeah.
and then,
Good point. Very excellent point. Yeah. All right, this will go live, first thing tomorrow morning. We'll get it out there. It'll attract more attention. And then, maybe I'm asking the board, usually the board comes to me, but, when we created this RFQ, RFP, we did say we were gonna create a selection committee. Start thinking of names, I do need to form that committee. You guys gave the town manager the opportunity, but we work in a partnership. Come up with people, obviously, we did say that, somebody from Goma in New York, we do have the owner of Tai Chi, our town planner group, has agreed to go on it, but, you want residents that live up there. I know a few, if you know some, obviously, we need them to buy in onto it, but this could be yet again, a transformational project, for the town of Winchester that, this could set us on our way.
Maybe some members from planning and zoning if they, like.
You don't, because they're gonna ultimately have to.
Make the decision?
Yeah, you know me,
That'd
the
be a
two bites of the apple,
Yep.
I'm not a
Yep.
huge one, because they're ultimately gonna have to approve or disapprove, because they're gonna have to go back for all the approvals again,
Right.
because it's all expired, so.
Maybe former selectwoman Perez would be interested. This was a big
Funny you
deal for
brought her name.
We talked about twisting arm.
I gotta give it to her. I was grumpy at that meeting where I had personal thought that I had wrote a very nice RFP, and she said, no, why don't you spend a little money and get the professionals to do it?
Yes.
I wish I didn't spend the weekend writing the RFP. I could have got that back,
Yes.
but she was 100% right, and also testing the infrastructure. So you can see how well it's been paying off, so it's been great.
Great.
I think I'm done. It's you guys now.
Holy
Moving on
mackerel.
Moving on to item 12, citizens' comments. Board of Selectmen welcomes public comments. Speakers be limited to 3 minutes, may speak once. Please make sure you turn on the microphone. Just the red button. Nope, nope, the flashing, there you go.
There you go,
It's
you're
green. Kim Higgins, 20 Crescent Street, Winstead, Connecticut. Thank you for the sidewalks. I almost got hit by a car. I would really like those sidewalks to be bright and shiny, and especially at night, especially by St. Joseph's, especially by Kemp Pizza, by the Y. Thank you for that. Second thing, if you're gonna do this big development up on Wallens Hill, which I am 100% for, you're gonna have to fix Wallen Street, because going up that, you can't hold soda in your hand while you're driving up that street. So that's gotta be on the plan. any developer looking at that's gonna go, holy moly, what is this? Who wants to drive this? So that's all I have to say. Thank you and did you talk to anybody about writing grants for our schools? Because, yeah, I remember last meeting I said, please speak to someone about starting to write grants for our schools, because there's money up at the state level we could get. We just need the grants to be written. And that's all I have to say. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jim. Anyone else wish to speak? Kevin?
So I do have a couple things for you. So, Paul, you mentioned the fact that the cameras would start on the state road, which I agree with 100%, considering almost all the pedestrians in town are on Main Street. The businesses are on Main Street, and with all of the people that live on Main Street and the apartments above the buildings, everybody that wants to shop there is parking across the street and they're trying to walk across. So having said that part, I've been almost like a homeless bum since July, looking at these crosswalks. One of the glaring things that I found is the St. Joseph's, as my wife was talking about, St. Joseph's crosswalk. I have seen almost 100 people in the crosswalk where cars went through. Also, women with babies and carriages where cars came through on both sides when they were in the middle. So that's not a good thing, especially at night. That crosswalk is not lit. It's very dark. Now, to your mind, over on YMCA, exactly the same problem. And we've had people die over there.
Yeah.
So that's I think the crosswalk, so now I'm gonna go to William. I think your idea is fabulous. I barely ever see police on Main Street with enforcement, almost never. And I never see state police. Now, I understand you don't have any control over the state police, but that's their road. And they don't do anything, nothing, as far as enforcement. So if the cameras are gonna solve that, but you're gonna add another problem now. As soon as you put the camera on where you want it there, people like me, who speed a lot, are gonna go right around, and where they're gonna go? They're gonna by the two schools. So Hinsdale is now gonna become a big problem, and that brings you right down to the Pearson School. And if you could manage to put a camera somewhere around there, that might solve the problem, but the kids are gonna be at risk now. That's just something to think about as far as future cameras, right?
Typically, I don't respond, but I will say, because you brought up a huge concern in being a father of young kids, it won't be long after, once we get our feet underneath us, where I'm suggesting to the board, school zones and all of that.
That
We
would
have
be the one.
a huge list of, we need to control speeding all over this town. We want to start on Main Street, but we have a plan to control speeding throughout town.
Absolutely. So the one thing that I see it already where the cars that don't want to go down through town is any kind of problem. So they come down Hinsdale, they get to Wetmore, they see the kids, and they make a left onto Crescent and come up past me, and then they go down Mountain.
Yep.
And that is another big speed zone coming down Mountain, so just so you guys are aware, right? I think I got it covered. You guys are doing a great job. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else? Moving on to item 13, Selectmen's comments and reports. Who has a bill?
Just one quick. So someone come up to you just before the meeting. We're wondering if when we lay these agendas out, Paul, executive session, a lot of time we put before selectmen's comments and reports. We've been in executive session for an hour and a half, 2 hours. Could we move that in the future if we have executive session, do the selectmen's comments or reports before? Because when we go into executive session for an hour and a half, we come out, the room's empty. Most of the people watching at home have shut the TV off, and it was actually a good point that was brought up.
We have done that. I gotten familiar with this board, and I know when we're gonna be in executive session for a lengthy period of time versus a shorter period of time. If I feel that we're gonna be talking about a subject matter that's gonna keep us there for a lengthy period of time, recently and in the past, I will move the agenda around so that selectmen's comments, public input goes before the executive session, so that when we come out of exec, we're not, people aren't waiting around. It's really based on what I feel the subject matter going into executive session, if it's gonna be, if it's a, you know, short, hey, I just need a direction, then no biggie. But there are times, I know when we talk, you know, Wallens Hill and everything, if you go back to those agendas, you'll see that selectmen's comments, public input was always before we entered into exec session. But tell that resident, yep, agreed. Oh. We were doing it before you asked.
Troy?
I got two things. First thing is I want to have you put another RFQ out for a town attorney for the new board. And my second thing is, this is piggybacking off of Mr. Pozzo's, Selectman Pozzo's proposal, I don't know if it was last year or the year before, about bringing back awards for, some recognizing businesses once a month. I think we should do something for, figure out some kind of funding. We can make a plaque, and then either once a month or once a meeting, I don't even care. Probably once a month would be sufficient. And bring in longtime businesses that survive through all the horror stories of in Winston and work our way down, and invite them to come in and
Place
get an
Hardware
award.
comes to mind,
That's the first thing that
147
comes to
years.
my mind too. There's a lot of businesses struggling out there. There's not a lot of foot traffic. I know the Economic Development Committee is doing their best, but I spoke with a lot of the business owners, and times are tough. The construction on Main Street hurt them. The speeding hurts them. The parking hurts them. So we need to give them something, give back to them, and have them come in and explain to us. Maybe they have an idea of how we can help them. So I think once a
We've
month.
discussed this in the past, just a business recognition
Yeah.
thing. I know EDC does do their thing too, but, so I got a list from the
Even if it's
Assessor's Department of just businesses in Winchester, and the list of businesses is thicker than this packet. I mean, there's hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of businesses. It's not just Main Street, all the
What do you
little
call that,
businesses, seamstresses.
Documentation or whatever, just something, even if it's a paper thing with a seal, the town seal on it.
We've given those out to some businesses. I know Kim Pizza still has theirs hung up.
Yeah, no, I think it would be a
Prior
good
to
thing.
COVID.
So is that coming from the town manager or the board of selectmen? I am not against it. I think it comes more from the board of selectmen. I think I get to have a little fun with it. I think that's a wonderful job that, you and maybe some other of the board members
Yeah, we can make a
recommend
committee and
tell me which one you want on the agenda, and I'll put it on the agenda.
But we gotta have some sort of funding and to make the.
It's very minimal. I mean, we're not gonna do awards and all that, but you can print a
Well, something that they can have on their store.
certificate of recognition, you
Yeah.
can print that like. So you're volunteering to?
Either that, or you give $1
He
to everyone
voluntold.
so they can hold it.
So you just volunteered to head up the business recognition?
I would volunteer for that. If somebody wants to help me, that would be great.
You already started the legwork, Bill.
You got the list.
So then I'd ask from the town manager's office is, get me the business on or before the Thursday prior to the Monday meeting, because I do like to start getting the agendas together, Thursday, Friday, Friday the latest, but I try and get them done, but there's always last minute things. It'll be on you guys to invite that particular business owner or manager here. We can prepare, I'll bring the certification or the recognition down with me, but I have nothing against it. I don't think we ever formalized it, but coming from the board, I think it's a great thing. I think we can come up with that recognition on a piece of paper. We'll laminate it, we'll make it look good.
We'll make it
Maybe work with EDC, get their, opinions in terms of who they recommend, and I think it should be a collective effort with the EDC, because I'm impressed with all our boards and commissions. But recently, I've worked very closely with our EDC commission, because we've been on tour. They book an hour, and if you all know, I like to talk, and we're there for like 3 hours, because I completely geek out in some of these places, and I love it. But, let me know. Just, I'm a phone call or an email away. Send me the business, and it's on the agenda, and we can do it,
Right after Pledge Allegiance.
well,
Should be in the beginning so the people can go back.
Before the meeting, maybe, before we even start.
Well, then you're asking people to come in, it's
Right.
nice when people are here. My recommendation is you get through the approved minutes, citizen comments, and before town manager report, maybe
Right.
break it off there.
So it's early.
It's
very
early on,
So-
and it's before town manager report where, you know, I'm long.
Who are you gonna make responsible to make up the certificates?
You give it,
We already have a template.
generically, I mean, it's gonna be the same certificate,
Yeah,
we're just
yeah, yeah.
changing the business name. Just give me that
We can cover
by
it.
Thursday, and I can get it printed by Monday
Ready?
here.
You ready,
to
Bill?
Yes.
Yeah,
Troy, I'll add it to the list of things I gotta.
Yeah, that-
I'll tell you, as one of those business owners on Main Street, the certificate's not what I want to hear. I want to be listened to, I want.
Well, that's
But
your
that- and
opportunity.
that's- I understand that. I just think, seeing progress and seeing this progress that's happening with Main Street, with the speed cameras and other things that we've talked about, I think that is what the businesses really want to hear.
I
And
wish
they want to be
they'd
felt.
come.
Because as you may recall, a couple years ago, before you guys took up the speed cameras up, I brought it to the board in comment. I went around and spoke to almost every business person on Main Street about signing the petition. We got every single one to sign it. And all I heard from them was that, good luck, nothing's gonna change. And I'm so glad that things are changing, because that is important, because we need our businesses and we need to make sure they're successful. You wanna give me a piece of paper, that's fine, but I wanna see action. That's what I wanna see.
So I
But
think
if
my
you come here, you
thought.
have the opportunity
am.
to, recommend what you feel is good. And we also lost the WOW group. That was, you guys were on fire, and then all of a sudden,
Annie, I don't know what, I need to
we
reach
need
out
to
to her.
regenerate that WOW group.
I'm a little busy right now.
Take a break after this.
And I get what you're saying, and I walk, every weekend I walk the businesses and talk to all the business owners as well. I'm not worried about Main Street. We know you guys are there. I'm talking about the little mom and pop. Again, if you get a copy from the assessor's office of just the businesses.
lot.
I mean, the little embroidery shops that have been here for 27 years doing embroidery, those recognition, because we drive by the Main Street businesses every day. The guys that's fixing Long Road, that's a legit business.
Yeah.
That's been there, that are in the outskirts, the little teeny farms that have been selling eggs for 47 years. And just a little recognition for them as well, that basically more, we recognize you, we haven't forgot about you. We realize you're just as important as the little shop on Main Street, so.
Other comments?
Yes.
I need just clarifications. Selectman Lemire, you
I
said
said
an
it
RFQ?
wrong, RFP.
Yeah, an RFQ, I would assume any attorney group has the qualifications, because you have the word attorney after them. So you want an RFP?
RFP.
And your RFP is, just walk me down the road, just so I can start working on it.
I wanted to search for the pricing on the town attorney.
So you're looking for pricing on
Correct.
the laundry list of items?
Yes.
I
Done.
thought he gave us a pretty good price last I looked, compared to what I know the going rate would be.
It's always good to check.
One thing I just want to say, and I don't know if this is possible, and if there any way to get our agendas out earlier than Friday, I know that's the last possible day to get it out
Yeah.
under the charter, but it's, when I was on the Board of Ed, we would get them on the Wednesday before our Tuesday meeting. That gave us plenty of time to go through, it also gives the citizens time to, whether they want to participate and be here, and that's really important to me. So if there's any way to get it maybe Thursday at least, just one extra business day, would be very helpful.
Understood. Let me ask you this. Some of the delay, I know it's gonna be on the agenda. I'm already thinking of the next agenda, as you can see. What is taking us the time is the packet itself. Are you gonna want the packet on that Thursday as well? Because sometimes, for a prime example, the finance stuff literally came in Friday morning with that. Agendas are easy. It's that backup information, I can get you the agenda early.
I think starting with the agenda would be great.
And then,
Yeah, so at least there's, as long as
See
the
what's happening.
agenda is descriptive of what's gonna
Yep.
be addressed.
yep,
But, just so that we are giving our citizens advance notice, sufficient notice. That's why I was asking for it on Wednesday, because I was used to getting packets on Wednesday. But, I do understand there's a lot involved in doing that,
Yeah.
but that's why I'm asking whether it was possible. So that's my
yeah,
comment.
agendas are easy, some of this, even with the ordinance for, the traffic camp, not making an excuse, I'm relying on other people to get me the information, and I'm trying to get it as, listen, I would love to have this done and in bed by like Wednesday, because then I don't have to worry about it, but I'm frantically running around usually Friday morning, getting every last piece of document that I need, and even some of the times I don't have all the documents, and I hand them out to you on Monday. So, but we will work on getting at least the agenda out earlier, and then the rest of the stuff.
And then can you correct the typo on unfinished business, so that's spelled correctly? Well, just, we use the same format all the time, I don't want to repeat
We
the
did
error.
a special meeting that was put up there a lot. I will admit to the new board members, I am not a great speller, okay? So.
Me neither.
Join the club.
That's
But
what
yes, we can
Google's
do that.
for.
Kevin?
Yeah, I just wanted to make a comment more for people here and at home. I just want to say, welcome everybody to join a committee, a board. There's so many openings. I've got a list of openings here of all these committees that need people. So whatever your area of expertise, please, it's actually very meaningful, I'm learning, to be involved in your town, and you get to know great people, and you get to be involved in something that you're passionate about. I mean, we've got openings on architectural review, conservation. The Cultural District Commission doesn't even have enough members to function yet. The Historic Commission, Housing Authority, Inland Wetlands, Laurel City Commission, Recreation Board, Zoning Board of Appeals. So whatever your thing is, our discussion here tonight actually made it easier and quicker to join a board. So we need people. I mean, democracy only works when we're all involved and we can fill all these volunteer positions. So please pick your passion, get involved. We've made it easier. We need everybody to contribute to the town.
I'm next. So I want to thank the veterans for the Forest View Cemetery and Soldiers Monument on Veterans Day. It was kind of cold outside that day, so we actually got to listen to Jack say the Gettysburg Address inside Soldiers Monument, and I thought I was standing next to Lincoln, so that made me feel pretty good. The other thing I wanted to share, the water tank projects for the waterworks are coming in under budget, and I want to send out a special thanks to Bart Clark for being diligent and his nose to the grindstone and the time and the effort that he put in to make that possible, which thank you, Bart, for that. And last but not least, being a former member of the Charter Revision Commission, I think I'd like to start some discussion on some charter changes here. I think we need to bring it up about the town clerk position. I think some of it, the Board of Selectmen's positions, every 2 years is potential to change this board every 2 years. Where the Board of Education is rotating basis. You know, some are the 4 years, 5 members are 4 years, and then they flip it, so it's continuous. Otherwise, it could be too much of a change. So I'd like to somehow, I talked to Selectman Marino about that, about doing some charter change, again, especially for the town clerk's position. We have someone that's qualified that just absolutely doesn't want anything to do with going out and campaigning. It's a 2-year position. Think about it. Every 2 years, you got to go out and fight for your job.
Right.
You know, I was on it before. I had some ideas. They kind of got squashed, but now it should be a little bit different, hopefully. So.
Since it's not an item
It's
on
not
our
an
agenda, do you guys want that as an agenda item for the December
Yes.
1st
Yes,
meeting?
please.
Okay, so charter.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
So I'm gonna list it as possible charter revision.
Yes, we have to have a committee. We have to pick people.
Yeah, let me get the
We had-
rules and
we
all
had
of that.
5
so
people before,
familiarize some people.
2 from each side, R's and D's, and then someone kind of neutral in the middle, and then just kind of go from there.
Oh, there's a whole litany, because there's state statutes where you
Right.
can't have more than 1/3 elected officials, so
Right.
well, let me bring everything.
Yep.
So you have it, and then you can have a great conversation about it and see which direction you want to go in.
Please.
And there you go. Okay?
All right, Bill, you said?
I'm all set.
All right, and then wrapping it up, I'll be, for the 11th year, the Saturday after Thanksgiving, which is the 29th. The rest of the board is welcome to join me at Stop and Shop to ring the bell. That's the thing that nightmares are made of from the Salvation Army.
Are you wearing an elf costume?
I will have a Christmas hat. That's all I will commit to at this time.
Be committed to it, Todd.
I can't let the cat out of the bag what the rest of the outfit will entail. From 9 to 11, I'll be there. The rest of the board is welcome to show up as well. All the money that we raise at Stop and Shop in Winsted for the Salvation Army is kept in Winsted. And also, as Selectman Hester mentioned about Veterans Day being cold, this one's a couple weeks out. Freezing for a reason, East End Park, December 12th, 6 p.m., it's a Friday, to raise awareness on homelessness in town. I'll be there for that as well.
What was your ringer date?
Saturday, the 29th.
29th.
Selectman Lemaire's gonna be there? in the
I
Santa
might
Claus-
dress up
in
my
the
Santa
He
Claus.
does have the Santa beard sometimes. And then lastly, since this is our last meeting before Thanksgiving, wishing everyone a safe and happy Thanksgiving.
Same to you.
We will see you on December 1st. Troy,
I'd like to make a motion to adjourn, please.
Second.
all in favor? Unanimous. Thank you.
Turn your mics off.
Yep.